I got college sports updates, and I've got NBA updates, and we got an NFL update. But I got to start with the breaking news, or the biggest news of the morning for you, you fans of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Do you or your girlfriend watch this show on Netflix?
She has had it on.
She watches this?
Yes, she does.
Okay.
One of her best friends from college's boyfriend is Kelly, as in Coach Kelly.
Ooh, best friends from colleges. Your girlfriend's best friend from college is the coach.
Boyfriend mom is the coach.
Oh, okay.
So there's a little bit of this and that, but
there is a connection.
There's a connection. I was say, can we get on the show?
Well, here's the big
maybe?
news. According to the show on Netflix, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, America's team.
Yes.
Part of the brand.
Oh yeah, the star.
Apparently, they're getting a 400% salary increase.
Still probably not enough, too, for what they're getting.
They're going from $15 an hour to $75 an hour.
Yes.
But according to the new series on Netflix, you get a lot of perks. Can I play this for you?
You get a ton of perks.
Listen to this. This is breaking news on the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, because people have said for a long time, why do they do this? They only make $15 an hour. Listen to this from the show your girlfriend is watching.
Our sponsorship showcase gives our corporate partners the chance to showcase their products and all the great things the girls get as a cheerleader. Experts that love these makeovers.
Nails and lashes. You guys receive 1 nail kit per week.
Botox and the fillers.
A beautiful custom wig, sew-ins, ponytails, silk presses, all the good stuff.
Lash lifts. Girls get the lash lifts.
Lash
for
lift.
sure.
We get you $60 a week in meals that you guys can have.
We actually have a surprise for y'all. So we are all going to the Bahamas together.
Oh, okay, there you go.
There you go.
You needed to know that. 75% or 400% salary increase for your Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Well deserved.
Yes. Kelly Finglass is the director of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Yes,
the
she's hard.
DCC.
She's harder coach than Shoddy.
Yes. Love to have her on the show. I'm going to work on that, E.
Oh, man.
Because that's the connection there.
Well, work on that, man. Connect those dots.
But a lot of those ladies, I have been watching a little
Kelly
show.
Finglass?
But despite not me choosing to watch the show, it's just been kind of on, right?
I get that.
Yes, they still, even with the pay increase, all these girls have other jobs.
Oh, of course.
Every single one's got other jobs. So,
but they get a lot of perks.
They do. They get a lot of
trips to the Bahamas.
Right. A lot of sponsorship
It says here
stuff.
that according to estimates, they make about $150,000 a year in perks.
That's awesome.
Because all that stuff that they just described is very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
They get it for free. A lot of ladies out there listening going, oh, man, get all that for free. That's pretty good. Okay, so that's the news. Speaking of football, there are a couple of college sports notes that we got to give you here in the A block that you need to know about, and then we're going to get to this Kevin Durant trade. But so a couple of pieces of news. The Pac-12 has struck a media rights deal with CBS.
Yes, sir.
That will anchor their new media rights package. That's big. That needed to happen. CBS is going to be the partner. They're going, climbing in bed with the Pac-12 with its new formation. That's going to pave the way for the long-awaited addition of Texas State and the expected and long discussed. Now that the media rights package is in the books and we know what it is, or they know what it is, you can expect this week the Pac-12 to formally and officially invite Texas State, which they would, as long as they're getting a full share immediately of the media rights package, they'll say yes. And Texas State can then notify the Sun Belt before July 1st, that deadline where the out fee, the exit fee doubles. So that's going to happen. And obviously, for the big picture of Texas State, this is only a good thing.
Yeah.
First and foremost, they're going to quadruple their media rights revenue on an annual basis immediately, which is huge. And this would start in 2026, by the way. They'll play in the Sun Belt in 2025. The notification, they got to give 1 year notice. This would start in 2026. But it'll also elevate the profile of Texas State on the national stage. I mean, think about football matchups with Boise State on the blue field or here in San Marcos, Washington State, Oregon State in football, basketball home games with Gonzaga, San Diego State type of team. So that's a good thing. So good for them. Also this morning, the NCAA, or actually late yesterday, the NCAA's Board of Directors formally adopted the new roster limit rules that will align with the House settlement that goes into place a week from today, July 2nd. So, this is part of that House settlement, and the NCAA had to rebuild restructure their rule book essentially to fall in line with it. So schools are going to be allowed to award scholarships to as many players as they wish, many players as they want, to fall in line with the new settlement. So, for example, this is what we've known coming. Football is going to 105 players, not 85 scholarships. They can give scholarships to upwards of over 100 players. Basketball will rise from 13 to 15 to Texas. Baseball will grow to 30 scholarships. And yesterday down at Texas A&M, Trev Alberts, who's the athletic director there, did a media availability, and listen to him talking about, he's been on the implementation committee, one of the, I think there's 12 athletic directors that are on this NIL House Settlement, NIL Go implementation committee. And he was asked about, and he actually used the words that I use quite a lot when we talk about this, threading the needle. And he talked about threading the needle between the traditions of college football, but also modernization, as he called it, which means professional. You're admitting that you're professional sports.
Sure.
Well, here's Trev Alberts talking about why and how important it is to raise the, because right now, why do you want to put more scholarships into football and basketball? Well, those are your revenue sports. They need to produce you money.
Those are the generators.
That's why I've said those two programs, and now at schools like Texas and Texas A&M, baseball can be a revenue positive sport.
Right.
If you're selling out to the dish, and it's never going to make what football makes, but it can be revenue positive. Softball can start to create some revenue. There's still the travel challenges, but listen to Trev Alberts talk about threading this needle between the traditions of college athletics and now the modernization, as he called it.
I mean, I think what we're all facing in college athletics right now is the reality that what makes college athletics and university special is our traditions. It's like that's what separates Texas A&M. There isn't a place in the country that is more proud, and rightfully so, of the traditions. The reality, though, is when change happens to you that you didn't instigate, you have a simple choice. You either adjust and adapt and modernize to that approach, or you don't. And you never stay the same in college athletics. You're either getting better or you're falling behind. And so I think at a place like Texas A&M, I think the most important thing to think through is how do you thread the needle between staying true to the traditions that make this place unique, and yet how do you modernize? And that's a hard thing. And that's why what we've tried to say is, let's make the North Star in all of our decision making what is in the best long-term interest of Texas A&M and Texas A&M athletics. Not any individual or organization, it's Texas A&M athletics. And so I think when you think that way, you can go too fast and modernize too fast and really put some of your traditions at risk, or you can be too slow. So that's why I don't do it all by myself. I work with a group of folks that are very, very helpful to me to understand, and I'm learning more.
All right, so he went on, and we'll play some more of that throughout the morning. It's pretty good stuff because he's on this committee that is implementing these rules and the NIL Go, but you do have to produce, your football program has to churn money. I mean, let's be honest. If you want to maintain Olympic sports and the other things on your campus, your basketball program, those things have to be peaking. But you know what? Forcing these athletic departments that have been bloated and out of control for a long time and not checked and balanced, that are, they got 500 employees, and what is that person doing? What is that person doing? Hey, let's cut the fat here. Let's start paying the product.
Right.
And if it costs some people some administrative jobs, we got to make money. We got to make money.
That's the goal, right?
And we got to run it like a business.
Exactly.
We've got to actually produce. We can't be given $80 million coaches buyouts. We got to be smarter than that. And that's what this settlement.
Cash.
Yeah, well, that's what this settlement will force them at some levels to do. Now, they'll still have bad coaches that get hired, but you see the point. You have to be much more streamlined and run like a business than ever before. And we'll hear more from Trev Alberts. But that happened yesterday. NCAA falling in line with the House settlement. There are no more roster limits. No such thing. Okay, so we had a great debate in the first hour and conversation about the NBA becoming more like the NFL in its parity, right? Because here's the thing. If you're 52 like me or older than me, you guys remember when the NFL was driven by dynasties. When the NFL was the 60s Packers of Lombardi, and the 70s were the Cowboys and the Steelers, and then the 80s were the Redskins and the 49ers, and the Cowboys of the early 90s.
Yeah.
The dynasties are what drove the sport. But then they realized, wait a second, because one of the reasons you could have dynasties in the NFL was there was no free agency. Players didn't move. Once you had them, you had them. So if you drafted good players, they were yours forever, and you could have these teams together. And I know there's a lot of old heads that'll love that. But the players fought for their rights for free agency through collective bargaining, and then they agreed. So free agency came in the mid 90s, but the NFL also adopted a salary cap because the original original commissioner Pete Rozelle was parity. We got to be a parity-driven league where Green Bay, Wisconsin can compete with the New Yorks of the world, right?
Right.
We want Kansas City can become a dominant force in our league, and that's what has driven the NFL from the mid-'90s on. And when you consider that the Patriots were a dynasty, but that was because of good coaching, Tom Brady, the greatest of all time.
They were never good in the past. Let's call it how it is.
But we would all agree that dynasties are much harder to come by in the NFL. They're designed not to happen. You got to win in short windows before the salary cap catches up to you. Other people pilfer your good players and all the things that happen. That's why it was very notable that when the Chiefs were trying to go for a three-peat this year, they were the first team to do that in 30 years. That's notable. That's very hard to do, Patrick Mahomes. And they were there.
I mean, they were there.
That's credit what credit is due.
Yeah, they went 15-2 this year.
It's very hard to do. And obviously they drafted a Patrick Mahomes, who's changed the equation for them. They're going to be in it every year. That's a great thing. But that's how the NFL is. And as I said, one of the superpowers I see in the NFL and the strengths doing what I do, which is trying to read fan reaction and what fires people up. Of the 32 teams in the NFL, as we sit here in late June, there's only a couple of teams that fan base is really down and know they're going to have a really bad year. Right? I mean, that's the beauty of the NFL. The Saints are going to have a bad year.
Going to be a bad team.
But I'm sure you'll find some Saints fans that are not realistic. They'll say, oh, man, what if Spencer Rattler emerges or whatever.
Or Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, but they're in a cap place. They're in a mess. They're not going to be good. I don't think Cleveland's going to be very good, but if you talk to people in the dog pound, they think Shedeur Sanders might be their savior. But either way, that's the point of why the NFL is so popular. It's fantasy football, gambling, and then every market in June feels like we got a chance.
Right.
We can make the playoffs.
There's always a team that emerges, maybe a couple. Like last year, Washington had the number 2 overall pick. They went to the NFC Championship.
Well, and now Washington fans are the best example. For 25 years, they were strangled by Daniel Snyder, and they came to the realization we're never going to be good.
Right.
It's not going to happen. Al Davis and Mark Davis with the Raiders. But even the Raiders are excited this year with Pete Carroll and Tom Brady's over there and Geno Smith and Ashton Genty. I don't know. Somebody's going to finish first and last in that really tough division. But that division's a great example. You got 4 Hall of Fame coaches. You've got good quarterback play at all 4 places. Chiefs will probably win it, but Jim Harbaugh going to have something to say about it. Sean Payton. That's great. That's the strength of the NFL is that even in Tennessee, we drafted Cam Ward. We're going to be good.
No, you got
New England.
I was listening to Colin Cowherd. He says they're going to be a playoff team. Yeah, I mean, this is right. I mean,
that is the
are
strength.
they? Who knows?
And
but
for too long, the NBA was the opposite of this. Right? The NBA was.
Goodness.
We told you in my lifetime, from when David Stern took over in the early '80s as the commissioner to 2010, 8 franchises won the 40 championships.
Yeah,
8 franchises won the 40 league championships. And that's why we've told you David Stern in 2011 locked the players out. And his long-term vision, it was kind of his last thing he was going to do as commissioner, is I got to get this thing right. It's not healthy for our league to have these dynasties. And then not the other side of those dynasties is there's so many teams and fan bases that know they have no chance. They have no hope of winning a championship or even maybe making the playoffs. We're going to be bad.
Right.
When half your league feels that way, that's bad.
Well, you're losing half your fan base, or at least close to that, right? Close to that number.
It's not good for TV numbers, not good for revenues, not good for attendance, all those things. So David Stern locked them out. They get a new collective bargaining agreement, and it sent the NBA onto its current path, which is now 7 straight years of a different champion, home-built teams, homegrown teams, not built super teams. Because the salary cap catches up with you, and they have the thresholds of the tiers, and gosh, even last year we were talking about Boston as a dynasty. Well, that dynasty is going to last 1 year. It looks like, Oklahoma City could be, but you never know. I think that's a great thing, and with the draft tomorrow night, much like we see now in the NFL, why do people tune into free agency and the draft and the frenzy is. Boy, we could be good.
Yeah.
We could be good.
Can change the trajectory
change everything.
Of your whole thing. Yeah.
And so NBA is getting more and more like that. When you see stories like SGA and how they built the Thunder and how the Celtics built the Celtics and all these things. And now the Rockets are in that conversation. And that's what's fun about the league now because the Spurs are coming. The Mavericks are going to draft Cooper Flagg tomorrow night. Let me play this. This is something from Hannah. How about Hannah Storm? Hannah Storm, how about this? She interviewed Brian Windhorst yesterday on SportsCenter.
Windy.
Can I tell you a quick story? We're running out of time here. But Hannah Storm, I did a paper route in Houston, Texas when I was growing up, from when I was 12 to when I was 16. And I used to fold the papers when I get home from school. I'd wrap the papers and I have to deliver them. That's when the Chronicle came out in 2 editions, morning and afternoon. So I would deliver the afternoon edition. And I would turn on the radio. It'd be the rock and roll station, KLOL Rock and Roll. Hannah Storm.
Really?
The DJ.
Wow.
Young Hannah Storm. Oh, yeah, she came out of Houston, and so she's got a Houston background.
A rock station.
Yeah, and now she's Hannah Storm on ESPN. But I remember when I was 13 playing AC/DC tunes and stuff. But here's her asking Brian Windhorst about the Rockets. Now people are looking for that next team. If there's going to be an 8th new team that wins the championship, after the Thunder this year. Maybe the Thunder go again, but Houston is a team. Here is Brian Windhorst with Hannah
KD
Storm.
obviously has a huge fan base there from his Texas days. He seems to be an absolutely perfect fit for these young Rockets who did not have to give up any of their prime assets. So, Wendy, where does that put Houston among the contenders in what looks to be a loaded West next season?
Well, they already were a number 2 seed coming into this year, but that was mostly based on their defense, Hannah. And the reason that they didn't have a run in the postseason was because largely of their offense. Well, they just went out and acquired one of the greatest offensive players of all time, specifically one who's terrific at generating his own jump shots from mid-range and long range, which is the area they were weakest in. And they were able to do it without giving up any of the players they want to build around. So, yes, KD is at a different age range than so many of their players, but it won't affect the development of those guys. So I think you're heading into next season looking at the Rockets as a prime contender to the Thunder, repeating as champions, and they have some more off-season work to do where they could shape the roster even more. And most importantly, if a star player becomes available, they are still armed and ready to make a major swing at another star if that's what they deem the best move.
All right, so there you go. And I, having done what I do for so long, this is new for the NBA. Where it feels like it's new. And 7 new champions, maybe an 8th next year. It is wide open. You have a good draft tomorrow night. You make some good moves. You can be right there, and the Rockets have built this thing incrementally. But now you go get a Kevin Durant and don't give up any core pieces, and you can be in the mix. Your Detroit Pistons, after decades of being horrible,
plural,
are now feeling like they can make a move in the East, and the Cavaliers.
So open, right?
I think that's cool. I think
Orlando,
that's good.
Teams like that, exactly.
I mean, I think that goes to the overall health of your league. How excited are the fan bases in the markets in your league about their team, about their season, about their chances? The NFL is the king of it. They're the best at what they do, selling hope.
Yeah, because every year it feels like a new team emerges.
But we know that they got to play each other, and then injuries happen, and then the excitement turns into reality. But that's the league, and that's what makes every week so compelling, and every game so compelling. And who's going to make it? There's only 14 spots in the tournament, and I think the NBA. Props to David Stern and then Adam Silver continue it. It's getting there. It's getting closer to that, and I believe it's a good thing for the overall health of the league. SGA and Oklahoma, because either one of the teams that had won Sunday night in Game 7 would have been in that brand new category, homegrown, organically built.